What I want to do in this session was really just bring you up to speed and if you have any questions on where we are and why we are, I want to just have an opportunity to explain that and put everybody at ease. I know we've seen the value of the coin plummet a lot and what has caused that and where we're going from here. And just to let you know that everything's okay. Back in the Bitcoin days, if you were with Bitcoin back in 2009, that started off like 7/100ths of a penny when they first traded that. 7/100ths of a penny. And it took it 18 months to get to 3/10ths of a penny. 18 months. So, our 18 months has brought us up to where we are right now. We started trading back in May. Texit Coin did. Got onto the next trade market, and I think it was about May the 15th, started trading, and it traded at 3/10ths of a penny. So that's where Texit Coin started, 3/10ths of a penny. It took Bitcoin 18 months to get to 3/10ths of a penny, and then we took on after that. And so, we're floating around that $2 mark right now. So if we take all the great gain off the top and look at where we are in actually a good place, a good position compared to the big coins that went ahead of us. As I said, it took Bitcoin 18 months to get to 3/10ths of a penny. But look where they are today. So we are here for the long haul. We still have our minds and we're still creating coins. In fact, this is a good time to be buying the coins. So I've changed all my commissions over to TXC. So whether it's $1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, whatever is coming my way, having that opportunity of buying the Texit coin TXC and put that straight into my account because the price is so low. Great time to be buying Texit coin. But let me go and look at the graph where this whole thing started to give you an idea of what may have caused this to happen and where we are today. This is the coin market cap. And you can see we're making great strides here. This is where Bobby was underpinning the market. We had liquidity in it that was supporting the market at, $2.50, $3, $3.50. Back here this is August. We were plateauing in August. That's when Bobby brought in the promo that if you get 1, 2, 3 in the month of August, basically sponsor 3 people, he'll give you 100 Texit coins. Remember that? Back in August. So August went by and we moved into September. And when they ran the analysis mid-September, right in here, there's September the 8th, the 10th, the 11th, the 13th. That's when they're running the reports to see how many people came in. I remember that Tuesday night Texit call with Bobby when he was in shock when he realized there was thousands of people that qualified. Not just the people that brought in the 1, 2, 3 new miners over that period of August, but the fact that the third person had the hit in August, which means there are lots of people that have 1 or 2 people that sponsored, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months prior to that, had sponsored one person and another person. And all they had to do was get their third person sponsored in August, and that qualified them for 100 Texit coins. So all of a sudden, Bobby has to come up with hundreds of thousands of Texit coins from nowhere. Now, the Texit Coin Company did not pre-mine Texit coin. A lot of these coins do. They pre-mine 100,000 coins or 50 million coins. If you can get up into the million mark, they will mine that number of coins, say 50 million coins, and put that to the side and then start going on to the exchanges and marketing the coins, not the ones that they've put to the side, but the new coins coming out. And that is pre-mining. And so you wait till the coin moves up to $10 and you got 50 million coins over here as a company. You can bring onto the market and sell those coins off at $10 a coin. Now you got $500 million. And that's what they call the pump and the dump. You got all these coins over here that you pre-manufactured before you released it to the public. And now you can bring that onto the marketplace and just dump it out there. And people are scrambling to buy it because of what has been taking place up to that point, as they've seen the value of that coin rise from just a few pennies and take its way up to $10. That's a pump and a dump, and then the whole thing just implodes and they take off to the Bahamas with $500 million. Well, Texit Coin did not pre-mine. So when Bobby needed hundreds of thousands of Texit coins because of the thousands of people that qualified through that month of August, at the just a few months ago, then he had to go to the marketplace and buy those. And so people that had already put sell orders out there at $5, $7, $10, they had already put coins out there that were just in place, holding their position until the coin rose up to there, and then they would be able to sell it. Well, Bobby had to go and buy those coins off the market. And so that's what you see here on our screen. That's right in here. This is now September the 19th. So this is midway through the next month. And Bobby's out there buying coins at, $6.50, hit the $7 mark, $5.50, buying all the coins he can to fulfill the promise he made to all those miners that had qualified to get 100 Texit coins each. So really, this is what spiked the coin, because when coins are able to be sold at $5.50, $6, $6.50, $7, that sets the new price for those coins. And so what triggered from that point on was then a lot of our early adopters that had built up, 50 to 100,000 coins, Texit coins. This was their opportunity to sell. And so it wasn't just the fact that Bobby was buying these coins that was pushing the price up. These people came on now and started selling their coins, because there was a lot of people that psychological mark at $5 a coin, $7 a coin, $10, the $16 a coin. Every miner has in his mind the exit point, that they're going to sell out a good portion of their coins because they want to build a house, buy a house, pay off their mortgage, get out of debt, whatever their plans are, take their family for a worldwide vacation, whatever is in their mind and their heart that they're planning for, there is an exit point. And typically, this is a psychological point. You grab a $5 or $10 or the $16. And so when we hit the $5 mark and the $6 mark, a lot of those people that were planning on selling, 3 months down the road, boom, they're selling right now because the coin reached the price that they were wanting to exit at. And now, because of all those sales, those huge sales, now the price of the coin is dropping down. But if you study that, you can see that there is a pushback. These upward movements on our graph are pushing back. This is people that are now buying those coins because they dropped down. I was one of them. I bought $1,000 worth of coins, and I waited a week later and bought $2,000 worth of coins. So this pushing back is people buying those coins at those prices, and that's what drives the price back up again. So you've got this buying and selling tension that's happening in the marketplace, and that's what gives the dynamic flow of the market, the ups and the downs, and then it looks very volatile. It's just the buying and the selling of those coins. And so that's really what caused this to happen. It wasn't that the bottom fell out of the market. What triggered it was Bobby having to go out there in our own marketplace and buy all those coins. Now he has bought all those coins, and the people that were selling them, those sell orders that he had already there in the marketplace, they were buying those coins as people were now exiting, and that's what helped to hold it up for a little while until he bought back as much coins as he could. So he's got several hundred thousands of coins now that he's now got that he can now use for promotions instead of having to go out there in the marketplace and buy them. So that's where we're at. But I just wanted to reassure you the place is not falling apart. Bobby's just committed, as he ever has been, to the success of Texit Coin and taking it beyond. Those of you been keeping up to date with the Tuesday night meetings, you would know the development of the layer 2 technology that they're putting in place, where they can offer the 1 million mines that Texit Coin has to other entities that will use those mines that are in play, the layer one mines, to do all the transactions. So these secondary companies, layer two, will be actually using our computers to do all their transactions. And that's what Bobby's pushing, the ability to API into that. And then Texit Coin will be creating revenue by these layer two companies using those computers. Layer two companies don't have their own computer network. That's why they're paying the rights to use a layer one network to actually do all their work. So people have got very upset with the changing of the compensation plan. That's what I want to talk about right now, the changing of the compensation plan. And I know it hurts, but it has not gone into taking our mines away or the production of the coins in those mines. Basically, the foundation of what we entered in for was not the commissions. We knew from the very beginning those commissions were a temporary thing. It's only as we sold the mines. What was the long-term gain and the long-term vision was owning multiple mines and producing coins from those mines, holding onto those coins while the value of those coins went up, and then being able to sell portions of those coins for whatever vision we had for ourselves and our family. That's the long-term goal. So the commission plan was always temporary while we got the mine sold. And once the last mine was sold, the millionth mine, that's the end of the commission plan. No more points coming up because no more mines are being sold. So no more commissions, no more overrides in terms of the supernova and those sort of things. All that goes away that quick once the last mine is sold. And what you're left with is a number of mines that you've purchased. That's why we encourage people to at least get 10 mines, because when all the mines are sold and you don't have the ability to buy any more mines, and then that 95,000 coins that are being produced on a daily basis in the network are divided out over the 1 million mines, you're down to 1/10 of a coin per mine. So if at least you have 10 mines, you got a coin. And if that price of a coin of a TXC is $500 or $1,000 a coin, then you're making $500 a day or $1,000 a day because you've got 10 mines. And so that's why we've encouraged our people, get the hash now, buy those mines, as many mines as you can, get rewards in those hash and build up the number of your mines. Now, in another 4.5 years, we go through halving. And what is halving? Well, that 95,000 coins that are produced on a daily basis gets chopped in half. Now you're down to half a coin if you own 10 mines. All right. So you want to own 20 mines and you back up to 1 coin a day. And that 1 coin will be worth $500,000 for the coin. So that was the long-term strategy. So I know it hurts when the commission plan gets changed, and particularly when you're in a particular bracket in that commission plan, and that bracket, that block of people in that particular commission group may change. Well, I've looked at it this way. Bobby always has the right to change the commission plan because his number one mandate is to keep the Titanic floating. He can't sit back and look at icebergs coming along the way that may hit the Titanic and just play his violin as we sink because he's trying to be kind and good to everybody. This is an incredibly generous compensation plan. It still is, but it probably was too generous at the beginning by the people that are getting in early, by all the mines they can be creating or getting as rewards without having to do a lot of work for it. Which means if you build up your cash potential, you can leave that cash potential there, stop onboarding people, stop adding new miners, and you can live off that cash potential by getting 3 to 3, 6 to 6, 9 to 9 points. So you got $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 coming out of your cash potential, or you're buying hash with it, trading in it and getting hash, and you're not really bringing anything more into the business. Nothing more is coming into the company because of the amount of commission potential or your cash potential that you've built up. And so that's what's been the focus, has been the cash potential, where the real focus probably should have been sponsoring new people. If you're sponsoring new people and bringing in revenue to the company, then you can enjoy part of that commission. But that has not been the focus. The focus has been the cash potential. The danger in that is this. If you bring some people on, they buy a few mines, and so your cash potential is $10,000, for example. You brought in $10,000. You have maybe three people buy a collection of, say, 10 mines amongst the three that you sponsored. Maybe one bought three, one bought six. Well, there's $10,000 you brought into the company. Now, you may stop sponsoring people. You got $10,000. So if you are matching your points 3-3, 6-6, 9-9, you can pull that $10,000 down so into zero, which means you brought, by your work and effort brought $10,000 into the company, and then by your commission structure took $10,000 out. No matter how you slice it and dice it, that company's going to fail. There's nothing for the company. So as long as you've got cash potential that you build up and you've got the ability to take every single penny out of the cash potential that you brought in, if that possibility is there, then the company's not set up for success. It's only a matter of time that company starts going down. So when Bobby over the last 2 or 3 weeks saw that our percentage of commission that we pay out is greater than 50% of the revenue that's coming in, that sent off all sorts of warning bells because people were slowing down in terms of helping build a company with new miners and were just basically taking their commission potential out, which was 100% of what they brought in. So that percentage of commission was rising over a matter of 2 or 3 weeks and getting over the allotted amount of no more than 50% of the revenue. If we start eating in more than 50% of the revenue, the ship starts tilting. And it's not long if that keeps going and that 50% goes to 54, 55, 60, 63%, because more and more commissions coming out and less people coming in, because you can pull down that commission potential down to zero, then we're in a world of hurt. So it's the same as if you had a company. Say you had a company and you had 5 employees and you're paying them $15 an hour, United States dollars, more than that overseas. But you're paying them $15 each, and your revenue starts going down. You're not selling the widgets like you used to, and the money's not coming in. You're going to look at those 5 employees that you got that you're paying $15 an hour to, and you're going to have to make a decision. Is my primary responsibility to look after those 5 employees and make sure they get their $15 an hour? Or do I need to talk to them about dropping back to $10 an hour, or maybe looking for employment somewhere else? Because we're not bringing in the revenue like we were supposed to or like we were before. So as a business owner, those are the sort of things you'd have to make a decision, because more important than your employees is the success of your company. Because if your company fails, your employees fail. They're going to have to leave because there's no job left for them. So I know Bobby's had a bad rap over the last few weeks as he's looked at this compensation plan and has tried to tweak it and come up with ways of salvaging it because it's been a very, very, very generous plan. A lot of people at the very beginning says they can't understand how it's so generous. Well, it was very generous in the beginning because we're all building. But when we stopped building and slowing down a bit, that revenue started to halter a bit, but the commissions were still going out because of what we'd built up in our cash potential. We're still eating into that. And so that's why consideration was given to altering the commission plan, not because we're trying to pull a rug out from underneath people or hurt people. We want to salvage the company, to keep the Titanic floating so we can make it to our destination. Because more important than to the whole operation, more important than our commission being at such a level, is the success of the company. Because if the company is not successful, the commissions don't mean a hill of beans because they all go away. So what does that mean? So over the last couple of weeks, Bobby has been looking at, okay, who are our miners? Who are those that have just bought mines? They're not interested in helping to grow the company. They've just bought their mines and they're producing their coins, and it's sitting in the back closet somewhere. And maybe in 18 months, they'll take a look at it and see what the value of those coins are and the possibility of selling some of those coins at that point in time. That's a true miner. And that's very acceptable in the company, that you come in just to be a miner. Just want to mine your coins. Don't worry about sharing this with anybody else. But if you come in to be a miner and a builder, then the rewards in the compensation plan needs to go to the builders, those that are building this thing, those that are bringing in the revenue. But if you're a miner and you were building, but you stopped building several months ago, 6 months ago, you stopped building, and now you're not bringing any more miners in. You're not building a company, but you built up 50, 75, 100,000 cash potential, and now you're living off that because you got your points. Now you really basically become a miner and you're no longer building. So a differentiation has to be looked in this whole company at who are the miners that are just own the mines and are just producing coins and they're not really building it, and who are the builders, who are those that have bought mines, but they're also building, sharing this with others. They're the ones bringing the revenue in. And so they're the ones where the commission really needs to be given to, not the ones that have stopped building the company. It's only fair. When you look at it in that way, it's right and it's good and it's fair because we're no longer building the company and we just can't keep living off commission. There's no company out there that would be giving commission out in sales if the person stops selling. And just keep getting commission in and there's no sales going on. So that's what started this whole thing, looking at who are the miners, who are the builders. First, the best way to find out who are the miners and who are the builders is look at who's not bringing any more miners in, who's not, adding to the 1, 2, 3. So that's where they came up with, let's look over a 3-month period and see who are the miners and who are the builders. So you've got an opportunity over a 3-month period starting in October the 9th through to January the 9th, that 3-month period that they're looking at to see if you brought any new miners on. If you haven't, then you're probably a miner and not a builder. Therefore, you'll be taken out of your status group, your commission group, and you'll be moved into the lowest commission group, which is the boosters. And boosters don't get any commission unless they got cash potential. And so that's the new way. And for boosters to get cash potential, they've got to bring on new miners, 1, 2, 3, and your cash potential then is built up by how many mines they purchase, $1,000 per mine for what they purchased, the people that you brought on personally. That's what builds your cash potential or your commission potential. Then as a booster, you can take that out. If you don't have any cash potential, you can't get any commission out. Not like the early adopters. The early adopters could not have any cash potential, but they could take out hash. That's what early adopters commission plan was. So you got a bunch of early adopters now that are not growing the company, not bringing any new people in, not adding any new miners, and they don't have any cash potential because that's all been used up when they were taking USDC and Texit Coin. And now they can't take those, but they're getting hash because of their points. So you get a person who's an early adopter, gets 3 to 3, 6 to 6, or 9 to 9. They are still BOGOing. So on a 3 to 3, that's $1,000. That BOGOs to $2,000, and you can get 2 mines. If you got 9 to 9, that's $3,000. You can BOGO that. That's 6,000, or that's 6 mines that are giving to a early adopter who's not bringing anybody else into the company. So that has to change. There's no, I know it's hurtful when these commission plans have to be changed and tweaked, but I totally understand it because without the tweaking of the compensation plan and making sure that you differentiate who are the miners that are just, producing their coins, mining the coins, as opposed to the others that are building this, if you don't make that differentiation and everybody's getting all this commission, then not only does the ship start to tilt, but we start sliding towards an iceberg, and that we hit that iceberg and we get that percentage of commission going out higher and higher, pushing up towards that revenue mark. When we go 65, 75, 80% of commissions are going out from the revenue, then we hit an iceberg and we going down because there's no money left to pay all the staff, the 54 staff members we have, the advertising and everything else that goes on. So that's why it's being done, not to hurt anybody, but to keep the Titanic afloat so we can all get to our destination together. So that brings us to where we are right now. So we got 3 months up until January the 9th to sponsor somebody. If you have not sponsored somebody after October the 9th and you have no more sponsorship since that time, you've got till January the 9th That's about 2.5 to 3 weeks to sponsor somebody to get yourself not being brought down to a booster level. Okay. You can, if you're an early adopter or a launchy or rocketeer, you'll maintain your status, your commission status at that point. And that 3 months is going to be a rolling 3 months. So on the 9th of January, we're looking back 3 months and making sure you sponsor somebody. So if you haven't and you sponsor somebody now, all right, then when we roll around to January the 9th and 7th is January the 16th. That's another week. You look back 3 months over that. Well, you just sponsored someone this week. So that person's still in play. So you're still active in terms of sponsoring somebody over that 3 month period. So it's a rolling 3 months. And then on January the 16th, we go to the next week. That's January the 23rd. We look back 3 months from there. Well, that person you just sponsored now 2 or 3 weeks ago is still within that 3 month period. So you're good. So really, it's asking people to sponsor somebody once every 3 months, because by the time that person you sponsored moves back and that's to the end of that 3 month period, you got another time to sponsor somebody again, because it's a rolling 3 months. So it's not a huge thing. If we have to ask people to sponsor somebody once in every 3 months, and that's a big challenge, then probably that person doesn't need to be a builder. They just need to be a miner. So your mine's safe and secure. No one's taking that away. No one's taking any percentage of your coins away. You're still producing those coins every day, which is great. It's just they're looking at the compensation plan to slow down the number of mines being given away and the number of mines that are being rewarded to people that aren't actually bringing anybody on anymore, because they were in a commission group where they could get additional hash, even BOGO hash, without bringing anybody on, even if their cash potentials all disappeared. Once the cash potential disappeared, yeah, you can't get USDC nor TXT, but you can keep getting hash if you're an early adopter. And there's hundreds of early adopters in that situation. So this is a great move, I think, to help weed out those that are just miners and those that are wanting to build the company. And we'll probably see more changes coming on. For example, it's probably unrealistic for people to get 100% in cash potential of the mines that were purchased by those that they sponsored. So if you got 3 people and they, between those 3 people that you sponsored, they bought 10 mines, now you got $10,000 in your cash potential, which means you possibly and potentially and realistically could draw that $10,000 down by you matching points. Well, if you brought $10,000 into the company because of the people you sponsored, and you take $10,000 out, then the company's at risk. So really, and I haven't suggested this to anybody, I probably won't, but if the commission percentage is set at 50%, that's probably the max that we should be able to take out of our own revenue that we brought in, 50%, because they don't want to go over 50% in terms of the commission that's paid out. So let's set it so that we can't get over that anyway. For example, if your 3 sponsors purchase 10 mines, then that probably should not be 10,000. It probably should be 5,000 commission potential. Cut it at 50%. If you've got one miner that you sponsored and they bought one mine, instead of that being $1,000, but maybe better being $500 that you have the potential to bring out. Then you never push over that place where you've got miners that are in a particular category where they can take that cash potential out and not bring anybody in and be a detriment to the company. So that's why they're looking at it. It's not because they're running scared. They're the leadership team, very, very optimistic, very, very, very fired up where we're going. We're just going to ride this out. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes down a little bit more over the next 2 weeks, because we're going to see the end of the year out. And not many people do things over Christmas and the New Year. I understand what happened at the beginning, where Bobby had to buy all those coins down, and that shot the price up. And then people started selling out because the price of the coins went up so high when all those coins were purchased. And then people jumped on the bandwagon and said, this is the time now to start selling. Those were calculated decisions. Now, once the price starts dropping by all those people selling, because it hit some good prices up there, $5 to $7 a coin, then you get the fear factor that rides in on that when they see all these people selling. Now people jump on that and they start selling just to get out. And there's been no calculation other than fear. So you add all those things together, it brings us to where we are today. So a lot of that probably needed to happen to get it all sorted out. But what needed to happen more than anything is the compensation plan looked at. It was too generous, too rich. And so probably affected a lot of our people that were getting, $3,000 a week on a regular basis. Probably have stopped bringing new miners on. So it's affecting the revenue, but also pushing up the commission. So that's where we are. And I wanted to just take this half hour just to explain that and give you some confidence back if you'll take it, that go with this for the long haul. There's great plans ahead. The layer 2 technology is in play. It'll be rolled out at the beginning of this coming year and be producing a lot more revenue for the company by secondary entities now using the layer 1 technology that we have in place. That's very appealing to a lot of companies because they don't have to build up a million mines to run all their transactions. They just pay to work off the layer 1 computers that are doing all the transactions for them, and they pay a royalty for doing that, and that royalty comes into Texit Coin. And so that's the plan. Once the commission plan is over and we've sold all the mines, then there's revenue that's being produced by the secondary layer technology paying royalties on layer 1, which is Texit Coin. So if you own one of those mines that are being used by layer 2 technology, then you will actually get revenue coming in from that, and that'll be shared out all over the plan. So the boosters are in play. Doesn't mean that's our last category. There may be another category. I wouldn't be surprised another category coming out after the boosters where they may not allow us to get the full cash potential of 100% of the revenue that came in. If they drop that down a bit so that we can't ever push over that 50%, that may be a smart move too. So if anybody is not brought on a new miner in that 30-day period that ends in January the 9th, and that's rolling, as I said, each week, they'll look at it again for the last 3 months. The next week, before commissions paid out, they'll look at it over the last 3 months. So if you've got some activity over that rolling 3 months, you're fine. If not, you'll probably get dropped to the lowest level at that time. Now, boosters is our lowest level. But if we have another category of miners on the commission plan come in after the boosters, then that's what you'll roll down to. Whatever the lowest one is what you'll roll down to. And they're still deciding if you get active again, if you have not been active for a while and you're in the lowest level because you didn't get anybody brought into the company over that last 3-month period, and you start getting active again, this is still a process in formulation. Whether you go back to your level that you were, I don't know. We'll have to see what they roll out. But they're experimenting right now because we've got to get down to the 50% level again of commissions paid out in comparison to revenue. That's where we need to be in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And we'll be that way for the next 2 or 3 weeks because there's not a lot of things going on. But if you can bring somebody on over the next 2 weeks before January the 9th, if you haven't already done it, if you have nobody sponsored since October the 9th, you need to bring somebody on before January the 9th so that you don't fall out of your commission status down to the lowest level. And now you're functioning at all the rules and regulations at that level. So it doesn't take much. Even if you have to spend $9.95 yourself and give that to a relative, give it to one of your grandchildren. Do that. Don't go ahead and buy it for your silly goldfish, but find somebody, a relative that you want to buy a mine for. We did that. We bought 3 of the holiday packs where the holiday promo card. There's no expiration date on those cards. We had till the 19th to buy them, but there's no shelf life on them in terms of using them. So I bought 3 of them before the 19th. I've already used one up. I gave it away as a gift at Christmas time. I had my wife sponsor this person because she was inactive. She had 3 months of inactivity. And so we used that promo card to be a blessing to somebody, brought them on, had Lisa sponsor that person. So now she's clear. She can stay at her level. Plus, you got the 3 points under her, which helps with the commission anyway. So I've got two left if you want to take advantage of those. They're $2,985 per card, but that gives you the ability to sponsor somebody with it and get points if you're looking to get someone to sponsor. If you don't want to pay that much, go ahead and buy a mine for $9.95, sponsoring somebody with that, your grandchild, and put them in your organization. That gets you cleared. Now you've got some activity over the 3 month period and you won't lose your position. So go ahead and do that because I don't want you to lose your position and then say, man, I wish I'd known that. I could have spent $1,000 and you get that back. If you stay in the same position you're in now, you get that back real quickly, spending $1,000 to stay there. And as I said, it's a rolling 3 months. So just remember that person you bring on will be with you for that 3 month period as that rolls on. So you're still active. It's once they roll out of that 3 month period, you need to get another person on. So it's some minor changes. And also remember that we lose buy 5, get 1 free by the end of this year. So we have got 11 days left. And the compensation bonus of that one mine by buying the 5, it goes away. So we'll be down to buying 1 to 9 mines, and the 9th mine you get 1 free because the 5+1 goes away. Then the 9 becomes a 9+1. So that's why these 3+1 cards are very, very valuable. And that's offering someone the opportunity of buying 3 mines and getting 1 free. There's no more of those cards left. Some people got in and bought 10 of those cards before the 19th, so they could use that out over a period of time. All right, so that's why I wanted to share with you. And let me just open it up. If any of you guys got any questions, just unmute yourself.